So, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our third episode of Strong Talks. Today, we have a very special guest that I'm very excited to introduce to you, who happens to be a functional medicine physician at Parsley Health. And Parsley Health is an amazing place that serves women of working age predominantly, really work through some chronic conditions. And these guys are doing some amazing work. They actually are the leading holistic medical practice. So that's a pretty amazing thing to be part of, I'm sure. And I wanted to introduce Dr. Jennifer Glassman, because she is someone who is based at Parsley Health and is going to tell us more about what she does and how she serves her community. And I wanted to welcome you here today, Jennifer. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Sarah.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully we can share some background maybe, because I think for those who don't know who Parsley Health are, I think it would be a really good discovery for them today. I think this is the golden nugget that they might be able to discover today by watching this and listening in. And if you could tell us more about Parsley Health and how it kind of came to be about, but also definitely how you came to be part of Parsley Health and what you're up to, that would be really great for us to learn.
Thank you. Parsley Health was formed a few years ago in 2016 by Dr. Robin Berzin as a functional medicine practice here in New York City. Mm-hmm. It has since expanded to over 30 providers in most of the 50 states. Our in-person locations are New York and Los Angeles, and we have physicians providing care virtually in many different states. So it's bringing this cutting-edge, holistic approach, this root cause approach to healthcare to the living room near you.
Yeah, for people who really need it and maybe can't even get access to it, because I know that that's something that's really important to you and to Parsley Health, is to share this information. And, you know, you're all board certified physicians and you have this amazing background in medicine, but yet, you know, you've got all these other avenues of resources and support. So can you tell us more about how you work?
It is a yes and approach. So yes, we're all I'm a board certified family physician. I've been practicing over 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was almost 7 to 10 years ago that I began to see the limitations in the conventional medicine approach to care. And that was the 15-minute visit. That was volume-based. That was having people leave with a prescription, referring to specialists. I saw that was not serving my patients very well. They felt that I didn't have time to hear them and that we didn't get to approach all of their concerns. Okay. And so gradually I retrained. I've been gaining certification through the Institute of Functional Medicine. And I joined Parsley Health in 2020. And in order to approach care in a different way,
right,
I'm using both my family doctor, primary care experience. Mm-hmm. On top of that, we look at a person in a systems-based approach, looking at all of the concerns, because we find that everything's related.
It's all linked, right?
Everything's connected. Everything's related. Yes,
absolutely. And I like the fact that you're definitely not like not to sound derogatory towards anybody, but you're not a Band-Aid solution. You're not just there working on the symptom that somebody's explaining to you. You go so much deeper and you go all the way in to really look at the core of things too.
Yes.
So yes. I guess it would be really interesting to learn more about, because you mentioned some other things when I was speaking to you at another time, and you're talking about just the approach of even anti-inflammatory foods and like plant-based nutrition and things like that. And I found that really interesting because, you know, I've studied and I work in plant-based nutrition myself.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that food is healing, and I've seen some amazing changes with people that I've worked with over the years in like in the health coaching arena, sort of things outside of OsteoStrong. But it's so amazing how you can see people really change in a very short space of time when you're removing certain things.
Miraculous.
Yes, like even in like a week, you can see some changes in just removing those inflammatory type foods. So tell me more about some of the things that you go through with some of these, I guess, wonderful women clients or patients, as you like. What do you do with these guys? What do you tell them?
Everyone who joins Parsley is a member, and our members and I work together with their individual health coaches to do detective work, to find the underlying root causes of their conditions. And with their one-on-one work with their health coach, we have 5 visits with the physician over the course of the year. The first 2 visits are an hour long.
Wow.
We ask that we have all the time in the morning to get the whole story. Yes.
Right.
And they have 5 visits with their personal health coach over the course of the year to dive deep into all of the healing lifestyle.
Right.
Food, meditation, relaxation, stress management.
The emotions that come up with everyday life. Yeah.
Fitness, optimizing sleep, community, the spiritual and community building and relationships, because that all plays a role.
What do you say to people that just have never even considered medicine or even healthcare as with the spiritual side of things? Because you mentioned spiritual, and we've talked about emotional, and you know, we're talking about nutritional. A lot of these aspects are not really discussed when you go to the doctors. You know, I mean, I'm from Australia, and we don't really talk about those things at the doctors either. So I just think, I wonder how we could help others explore some of these other areas. Because what I've discovered, and I don't know what, you know, I'd love to learn your experience as well. But what I've discovered is people often can do a certain amount of work to repair maybe damage in their body or dysfunctional habits or you know, relieve symptoms and things by doing some healthier, natural based modalities or eating better and that sort of thing. But it can take you only so far, I've noticed, because a lot of it comes from maybe the unhappiness maybe that we're pushing down, or traumas that we have kept inside of ourselves that maybe we don't know how to deal with or we haven't dealt with, and you know, we sort of skirt around them. I think the human mind is very good at kind of avoiding certain things sometimes. So I just wonder what you would say to people that, you know, wouldn't ever think that any of these things would be linked. Like how do you approach those sorts of conversations with people? Is this something that you would do or that a health coach does? Like, how do you approach this if you notice something that could be really underlying within somebody that's causing health concerns?
One tool that I use in our initial visit is the timeline, the functional medicine timeline. And in that it's an expanded version of what conventional doctors call the past medical history. But I'm as interested, not more interested, but as interested in their medical history of what was happening in their life at the time. So I see, say in 2018 was the development of these conditions or these symptoms.
Right.
Tell me what was happening in 2017. What
was happening? Where's the stress
in your life? What was the context? And it's fascinating how often an event occurs. I had a new job. It was very stressful. My boss was pressuring me, or I moved to a new community. I had no friends. And I write that right into the timeline so that by doing this exercise, by putting the timing of the symptoms, the timing of the diagnoses in the context of a person's life.
Yes.
and the events and the circumstances and stressors of a person's life, we see a bigger picture. We see that stress, that the cortisol response plays a role with our immune system,
Right.
with our digestion, with our gut. Our body feels those memories.
Right. And then we're storing them, and then we have to figure out how to unlock that, release that, help the body to remove that, I guess. Is that fair to say? I mean, that's how I would.
It does take, it takes both sides. It takes optimizing the body's health, but there's really very little separation between the body and the mind.
Right.
We're learning that it's all one. It acts, the brain and the gut, that it goes both directions. The immune system, cortisol, the
Yes.
hormones, all of the hormones, cortisol, insulin, thyroid, reproductive hormones, is all affected by emotions, by stressors, by circumstances. And
Yes.
so we bring these things out, and we teach our members skills and tools for calming down that sympathetic drive, the fight or flight, activating the parasympathetic,
Yes.
relaxation strategies, things that they can do in their life. Some members benefit from therapy, in which case we encourage that, to work with a therapist or a counselor in some circumstances.
Yes, of course, because obviously you need to go deeper in certain areas. We know everybody's kind of different. Yeah, that's amazing. And so tell me more about your team. So the people that you work with, like, tell me more about who we would come into contact with if we became a member. Like, what would a day in the life be like at your clinic, at your center?
Yes, so we're located on the corner of Fifth Avenue and 18th Street, very close to the OsteoStrong location.
Yeah, we're neighbors.
Yes, and that's we will discuss my OsteoStrong membership, I hope.
Okay.
Yes, so we're nearby, and our center is beautiful. It is like a person's living room. It is a
So it feels
healing.
like home, right? That's nice.
Yes, it is a beautiful healing space. It is like no doctor's office you've ever been to, and in the future we hope to open it up as COVID restrictions improve to more in-person events. We've discussed that at OsteoStrong as well.
Yes, exactly. I would love to just collaborate, because we care about the same things. We're obviously, there's a huge community of us, really, of people that just want to help others and want to do things more naturally.
Indeed.
Maybe want to steer away from medications if we can help it, looking at, as you said, like the yes and approach,
Yes.
and not that there's anything necessarily wrong with medications,
Absolutely.
but it has to be able to work in a place where there are options to do both, or one or the other. Like, I think when things work together, it's a really fantastic thing. So people come to us for bone density, and they come to us for wanting to biohack and be stronger and anti-age and all these wonderful things, and have this vitality, and that's great. But again, like, a lot of that is nutrition based as well. Like, you can do all of the other activities, and you can work out, or if you're going to the gym, there's all these other examples. But again, if we're not fueling ourselves, or we don't understand how the body functions with maybe what foods are best to eat while we're stressed, so that we don't binge on things that maybe are damaging to gut health and killing all of the good bacteria there that we're trying to cultivate. There's all these other aspects. And I think what you guys do is just amazing, because it has that approach where you're covering the whole human. It's the whole human, and we are whole. Like, we forget that, as you said, the gut, the brain, it talks to each other. There's like so much going on that it's all interconnected, and we need to, not to be overwhelming to people, but we do need to look at, a lot of different aspects. And if you're looking for someone to guide you, I think, why not a physician with over 20 years experience, like who can give you a real insight as to what all of the options are, not just some of the options, but what are all of the options, and what is available to me in my journey of what I need to do or want to do for how I can heal. And that just feels so empowering to me. And that's what I get excited about, things that are really empowering to the individual. And
Yes.
I love that at OsteoStrong, because obviously nobody wants to feel like they're walking around, and weak and frail and worried about falling. That's the worst case scenario. And I think, we work with people of all ages, but it's definitely interesting to see how people unfold when they get that empowerment back and they know that they've got options instead of feeling forced into a particular pathway.
Yes, it's a collaborative approach. We always, I think a question that I never used to ask in my conventional practice was, I start with asking the member what her goals are, what her health goals are. Why do you want to get better? What's your goal? And we use that as a guide. And
so
that,
when you find a guide of is it really tapping into their why?
we ask their why, yes. And so sometimes it's symptoms, and sometimes it's more broad. I want to be well so that I can see my grandchildren's wedding. I want to be well so I can serve my community better. But other times it's particular symptoms that we're tracking.
Right.
So I try not to use my goals, like, oh, it's your cholesterol, we have to deal with that. But rather it's trying to get off medicines. I'm not against medicines. I prescribe my members medicines when appropriate, but we hope that many people, their goal is to get to a place where they need fewer medicines.
Right. And they want to live without having to be reliant on something like that. And that's understandable. I can totally get that. I just think what you guys are doing is just amazing. And if someone was to work with you, how would they go about that? What's the first step that they need to take?
So you can join Parsley Health by parsleyhealth.com.
Okay. And you don't have to just be in New York either, do you? Because you've got New York, LA, but then you've got those other states.
Anywhere, Minnesota, Montana, Texas, Alabama, Virginia. Yes, we cover most of the states, indeed.
That's awesome.
And so on the website, you have access to information, and you can reach out and connect with one of our membership advisors. Our core membership is complete care, and that's what I described. It's a yearly visit, a yearly membership. You have 5 visits with a physician, with a clinician. Right. 60 minutes for the first and second visit. And then the subsequent visits are all 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then you also have 5 visits with the health coach over the course of the year. So you're really connecting either in person or online with Parsley almost every month.
Yeah. Because it's like 10, it's like 10 different, connections during that time, right?
Indeed. And that's where the progress happens. We track our outcomes, and 80% of our members feel better. Like their symptoms improve in the first year of care at Parsley.
Yeah, and I like how because you have a form that is completed each time before they come in, right? So when you were telling me about that, I just thought it was ingenious.
It's a valuable tool. It's a symptom tracker. We call it the Parsley Symptom Index, and many functional medicine doctors also use it. Use a similar questionnaire. And so with this number, while it's not a perfect tool, it's internally controlled because the same person is answering the same questions before every visit.
Got it.
And it is deeply satisfying when I share their chart and we see that their symptoms started off at 100 and it's coming down.
And I think that's so great that you track it like that, because I think sometimes when you're in the moment and the symptoms are crazy and they're like so like taking over your life and you're in this like crisis, and then things subside, and then it kind of, like, you work through it, it gets better, and you think, okay, great, I've kind of solved that, and I've moved on, and I'm doing, life again. And you just forget how many things were going wrong before.
Yes, or you start to focus on the knee thing, or you start to focus in on like the toe pain or the
Right. So it's so good that you can look at that, because I think a lot of the time we're always striving to, what could I do better? What else can I improve? But you sometimes you can, it's really good to, I guess it's a really great tool to celebrate those milestones and those steps, from where you were to where you are now. And then you also work on where they want to be too, which is great.
Yes. And sometimes it's not a celebration. Using that tool tells us if it's flatline, if it's not improving, if it's gone up, it tells us what's new, what's different, what's happening, what have we not investigated, what do we need to look into?
Right, I see. Yeah, well, that makes sense too, because again, like if there's something that we're not attending to, or we're focusing on another area and we're neglecting something, then that's really important to bring to your attention as well. But I love the fact that you've got it handled. You're looking at it, and it's something that you can't solve an issue if you don't have the data, if you don't have the information. You can't change anything if you're not tracking things, etc. So just like they say in management, if you're not measuring, you can't manage it. So it's the same thing in health, right? Yeah. Well, I'm excited. That's so great. And then my question, because I love to know, we have these strong talks, and I know that you empower, especially women all the time, to feel stronger and to not just have the symptoms subside, but really work deep within the core of that human. I love that so much. I'm wondering though, Dr. Jennifer, what do you do to stay strong and healthy? Like, what do you do to stay strong?
For myself, what I do to stay strong is I care for all parts of my body. I eat a whole food, plant-forward food diet.
And it's all alkaline usually, right?
I eat the rainbow. I try to eat all colors of fruits and vegetables every day.
Beautiful.
I am physically active in a variety of ways, whether it's cardio, strength, stretching, restorative. I keep my weekly appointments at OsteoStrong, where I have been thrilled by the improvement in my strength, that I can create 4 times my body weight in effort.
Love it.
I look forward to repeating my bone density next September to see.
I know, me too. I'm looking forward to seeing the changes. That would be so cool.
Yes, and other than that, I relax every day. I meditate. I practice good sleep hygiene. I focus carefully on getting enough sleep. I have been neglecting my emotional life, so I'm working on that.
See, that's what I was going to say. Like, sometimes, because you sound so like you've got everything together, it's so perfect. And I know it's never like that all the time, so I know that there's always something that we need to or want to work on more. So I was going to say to you, like, well, what about when things are not quite perfect? Like, how do you get yourself back on track if you miss classes, or if you, I don't know, just have an off day or week? Like, how do you bring yourself back to where you want to be?
I reach out for help. I reach out for help, whether it's my husband or family members or friends or my health coach at Parsley. I'm a Parsley member myself.
True.
Yes.
That's cool. And that's so important. I think, honestly, we try to often, especially as women, because I can speak as a woman, I feel like what I've noticed in others is similar to me. We're always trying to do so much, and we take on so much. And I'm not sure if this is just a feminine trait, but I guess a lot of others would probably identify with just taking on so many things and not always being able to give themselves that break or that time to be able to get that balance that they need,
So many of us are caregivers, whether it's for our children, our parents, our in-laws, our coworkers. Women give so very much of themselves
Mm-hmm.
And so we
To ask for help.
need to create the
I
space.
noticed that.
Yeah, we need to give the message that you are worth it.
Absolutely.
That self-care is not selfish. That is a message.
Preach that. That is so perfect.
I saw that message spray painted on the sidewalk on my way to work. I Parsley Health every day, so I get my steps in. And there on the sidewalk, I saw the message: self-care is not selfish. And I was like, that's.
I always thought that
yes,
it's so true. And I would be one of those people. I would have to put my hand up and say, I feel as though either I was brought up to believe, or I was programmed along the way, or I just adopted a belief system that doing things for me was not really acceptable. Not doing things for me first, not to the detriment of others. And what I found was others always need something, like the kids are always going to need things, and you've got to be there for them. There's no doubt about it. We've got sick or elderly parents or grandparents who, we've got to be there. We want to show up. Of course we do. But then there's also the let's apply the oxygen mask to self before
yes, I was about to.
So read your mind.
Oxygen mask on first before helping others.
Yes,
we hear that every time we fly. It's like the best life advice ever.
I know. And I really had to drum that into myself, because I realized that when I was doing all these things like we do, for everybody else, and we leave nothing left for ourselves, well, I mean, I was depleted anyway. So whatever I was giving to others was not really my best self. So if I took time out just to breathe and maybe took 10 minutes to myself just to be, okay, well, I'm going to do this little meditation, or I'm going to do this breath work just for a few minutes, and just, let the kids be set up with something else, or whatever I'm doing, even if it's at work, just be like, okay, I'm going to go do that walk, be in nature a little bit while I'm having a break. Whatever it is that helps me feel back to me. Exercise is a big thing that I put off so many times. It became the last thing on the list, because I felt like I just couldn't justify the time. But when I do, I feel so much more within myself, and I have so much more to give. Like it's that whole holistic approach where it's like I'm working on my exercise, which gives me that time for my brain to kind of just decompress. It's changing my hormones, it's changing my circulation, it's releasing things, it's giving me that hit that I need with endorphins and everything else. So it's all of the things, and I think we don't take that self-care seriously enough. And so I'm really glad that you guys focus on that you're really aware of that. And that whole thing of I need help, I'm feeling triggered, or I'm feeling, sad or disempowered, or just I feel like I've been kicked in the guts today for whatever reason, or I feel insulted, or I'm, something's touching on something that's really painful for me that's come from childhood, or I'm noticing these things. Help me, please help me to just regulate. Will you meditate with me? Is there something you can do to help me get out of this funk? Or, can we go for a walk together? I think having people that can be there for us in a healthy way is so powerful. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because I was starting to feel very intimidated by your list of amazing things that you do to self-care.
This weekend, I took a hike. On Saturday, I took a hike to a waterfall in Connecticut. And on Sunday, I walked in Central Park, and it was cold, but the daffodils were out.
How gorgeous are the daffodils?
And the tulips, and the trees are, the buds, and there was one lawn that was like, there were 7 or 8 robins. I was like, woohoo!
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Yes. I do remember when it was quieter in Central Park a couple of years ago, and I just was feeling so blessed that it felt like I had the park to myself in certain areas. And it was just like, wow, this is magical. And it's right on our doorstep, it's right there. But again, like being out doing that, or even just, as I said, taking 10 minutes sounds like not much time, but 10 minutes can completely change your breath.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's so much research behind spending time in nature.
Yes. And
There's
grounding.
a book called Forest Bathing
Ooh.
that shows the research behind being present in a forest, being present in nature improves the physiology, measurable vital signs.
So gardening is a good thing then.
Gardening, bringing plants in the home, essential oils.
Yes.
Yeah, getting to Central Park because New Yorkers are deprived of time in nature.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so deeply from the bottom of my heart. You've shared some beautiful things with us, and I really hope that we can encourage some people to come to Parsley Health, because I think that we can really, and guide people through your practitioner. From your, did I get my words right today? It's not working out, but through your clinic, I feel like we can really inspire some people that maybe are feeling a bit disempowered. And it would be so nice if you're watching this and you feel like you just want to know more. There's no pressure, just to find out some more information and maybe see how the process works. The first step is speaking to your member. What do you call your people?
The membership experience, the membership team.
The membership team.
Yeah, so you go to Parsley Health and explore the website. We have a wonderful resources of. There's a terrific blog with articles on any question you have, and so explore the website and click the link and chat live with someone or arrange for a phone call.
There's so many ways to get in touch. So yes, please visit Parsley Health and see what you can find and see if it's for you. And maybe you can refer someone that is going through some, chronic pain or some symptoms that just they're not getting anywhere in the traditional pathways, or, they haven't had the answers that they need so far. Definitely check them out. Find out if you can make an appointment with Dr. Jennifer and see if she can wow you with some of her amazing health advice and help along the way. And thank you for joining us once again.
Absolutely delightful, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't wait to see you again at OsteoStrong.
Yes, I'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.